Hi, it's Red Lion TV, and this is the first of some shorts, as we said that we were going to do. What really got us interested is what happened yesterday, in fact, when Starmer used the opportunity of the EHRC taking the Labour Party out of special measures to really push with his purge of the left and to actually make as a statement, noticed it without any discussion with any of the constitutional parts of the party, that Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't stand again. And we're going to have a brief discussion on that. So, Mike, what were your thoughts on this?
Well, initially, Jackie, the blame has to sit with Starmer, first of all, for this further polarisation. That should be our starting point. His fixation on the left in the midst of all these crises, which we know face not just British society, but humanity as a whole, his fixation on the left remains undimmed. And as Stuart Hall said many years ago, the one thing that animates these people is their hatred of socialists and the Labour Party. So the question is how to respond. One argument might be to allow your opponents hot air to blow out. Particularly, I guess, if they're trying to flush you out in a circumstance where they feel they are politically stronger than you. The problem is this is not happening in a vacuum. So that really isn't an option, as we've seen. And it is creeping up to Scotland now, the purges and the fixing of selection contests. So we have to respond. We're not swinging a punch. This is the problem. We're in a fight within the Labour Party with an establishment that wants to cleanse us from the movement as a whole, and we are not swinging. So the question is, how do we respond? Not whether we should respond, but how do we respond? And for me, there is a simple and straightforward proposal that I'm going to try and put to comrades up here during a Labour Party conference in Campaign for Socialism Fringe, and it is that, led by the Socialist Campaign Group, and obviously pulling in representatives from the devolved assemblies, that an open letter, which initially would be signed by those MPs, MSPs, representatives in the Welsh Assembly, councillors, I guess comrades who are already selected, if they've managed to navigate their way through that process, which calls out Starmer essentially for closing down democracy in the party, for closing down dissent, debate, discussion, and for trying to turn the party into a vehicle solely for his own ambitions and the coterie around him. And if we could get tens of thousands, which is distinctly possible, to sign that open letter calling for a democratic debate discussion over key issues, it could achieve two things. One, it could potentially put Starmer on the back foot, open up a little bit of political space, demonstrate that the left has still got a voice and is willing to resist these attacks. And secondly, it could signal a potential life beyond the Labour Party in regards to how many people are willing to step up, because we are left with no choice, I think. And you know, the Corbyn's decision about whether to stand is going to potentially flush an awful lot of people out and down to Islington, whereby they will be expelled from the party. So we're running out.
Mike, can I just clarify?
Sure.
What you're suggesting is that there's this kind of mass signed open letter, and that would, in a way, enable people to step up and almost present themselves as being in opposition to what Starmer's doing, and that what he would be reluctant to do is to lose people en masse in that way. So what you're saying is, you know, rather than have him pick off one person, you want it to be a sort of a mass action. Am I right there?
Absolutely. As I say, Jackie, we're in a fight where we're not swinging punches, and there are little isolated and atomised moments of fight back all over the UK, and individual socialists, individual CLPs, individual left groups are mounting actions of one kind or another and still organising in their communities, but there is not a consistent and coherent and more importantly, democratically agreed means of fighting back. Now, an open letter does not seem, and it isn't the most radical of responses, but it would coalesce the case against what Starmer and his clique are doing to the party, and it would test what kind of strength we've got.
Okay, can I stop you there? Because I know that some people are going to say, not another open letter, for goodness sake. We've had rather a lot of those from the Socialist Campaign Group, and I think most of them have been used as toilet paper. But I'm going to bring Graham in and see what he's suggesting here.
Well, I'm wondering whether we're fast going beyond even that point, Mike. Let's just see what Starmer has said, and for once we should take him at his word. He says, the changes we have made aren't just fiddling around the edges or temporary fixes. They are permanent, fundamental, irrevocable. To them, he says to his opposition, I say in all candour, we're never going back. If you don't like it, nobody is forcing you to stay. Now, this is an ultimatum. He's prepared to lose his campaign group, Socialist Campaign Group MPs. He's already lost a lot of his membership and is prepared to lose more. And I think that this is a challenge for us all, whether you're an MP or a party member. It's no time to keep your head down, pointless. We have to be a visible focus of our opposition. And I think that it is that, combined with the movement of resistance against the Tory government, out of which the seeds of a new movement or party based on the Labour Party and trade union members, as well as the broader movements on climate change, equalities and anti-racism, must be built. So I think we're now getting beyond that point, Mike. That is not at all, let me make it clear, to say anybody should resign from the party or provoke an unnecessary confrontation. But we have, as you say, to break the silence, especially the Socialist Campaign Group. I think they made a real error, and I said so at the time, when many of them withdrew their name from the Stop the War statement on Ukraine and about NATO expansion. They were wrong to do it, and they now have to speak out.
Okay.
So my view, in a nutshell, is we're heading into new territory. In the long run, or even in the medium run, we have to look towards the building of a new party of Labour, but out of the ashes of the old.
Thank you, Graham. The follow-up question I'm going to ask you here is, I hear what you're saying. Mike's actually put forward a practical first step. What would be your practical first step? What would you want to happen? And it might be a suggestion of what would happen with the Socialist Campaign Group, and a different one from what might happen to the members. But there's no concrete suggestion there. What would be your suggestion?
Well, I think my view is what it was as soon as the attack on democracy in the party started, which is that we won't be silent. So for party members, continue to put your resolutions to your branch, to your GC, to Labour Party conference. To trade unions, above all, continue to put your opposition to the Labour leadership. I would say to Jeremy, and I think everything Jeremy's done on this question of selection is correct so far. He's right to say it is not in Starmer's gift, it is the role of the constituency party to choose its own candidate. And Jeremy will make his own decision, but I urge him to remember the precedent of what Ken Livingstone done when he was forced out undemocratically of being the Labour candidate. And I'm sure that Jeremy will reach his own conclusions on that. But what I would say is this, that what we're doing and what we're trying to build now in this moment is not just an amalgam of small left-wing groups. It's bigger than that. It is the Labour Party membership and the trade unions. They built, after all, the trade unions and the socialists built the Labour Party in the first place. And it may be that we've reached or reaching the end of the road, and we have to rebuild a new party of Labour.
Okay, shorter answers now, please. Shorter answers. because all of that can be gotten into much shorter space of time. It strikes me that one of the issues is here, one of the critical issues here is the Socialist Campaign Group, who have been, some people will say, well, they've been commenting on this and they've been commenting on that, but actually they've been relatively supine. Now, to me, this feels like a real signal to the Socialist Campaign Group. Forget the members. In a way, the members, I don't think, to Starmer are important. I think the more members, the more left members that go or are silenced, he's happy with. He's in a win-win situation. I think this message is for MPs here. So it strikes me that without the involvement and the outspoken intervention of the Socialist Campaign Group, it's not that any alternative response won't happen, but that alternative response will take much longer to, if you like, ferment. And I hear what you say, Mike, hear what you say, Graham, but how can we actually communicate with the Socialist Campaign Group about what's happening? Because from what I see, we spend a lot of time tiptoeing around them because in a way they're precious to us, but they're actually not doing the job at the moment. How would you respond to that, Mike?
Listen, I think I've probably got, in relative terms, more sympathy with the campaign group. I share your frustration, Jackie, but they cannot substitute, a small group of left-wingers within the Westminster bubble cannot substitute for a working class that is not committed to socialism right now. However, having said that, I think there's more that they could do. I think they have allowed themselves to a degree to be silenced. That is, I would imagine they see it as a strategic silence, at least in terms of mounting the kind of coordinated fight back that requires more than just a small group of MPs, but tens of thousands of members. So in some ways, in terms of the open letter, which would be more than an open letter that I'm proposing from a group of MPs, it would seek the signatures of tens of thousands of members and draw legitimacy from that. But we also, I think, as a party, in terms of those socialists who remain, those serious and committed class struggle socialists, need to communicate with them as well and give them an ultimatum. You guys need to step up. You have a leadership role. It's not enough to be a thorn in the side anymore, and it's not enough to be raising your voices on the margins. We have to mount what amounts to a serious challenge. As far as we can mount a challenge, it wouldn't be a leadership challenge. Starmer's position is unassailable right now. We have to accept that, and the rules have been changed to accommodate that. But we need to mount a challenge that will draw fire. But as Graham says, and I agree with Graham on this, we have nothing to lose anymore. And we've got to go. We're at the precipice already, in one way or another. One of us is going over that precipice, and it need not be the socialist left.
Okay, Graham, what's your response?
I'm a little bit less sympathetic with the Socialist Campaign Group, Mike. No kamikaze tactics, obviously, but there is a movement of resistance on the ground, and our job in the party and in Parliament is to connect with that, but more than that, to lead it. There is an ultimatum, and take it seriously. Shut up or put up or shut up. And the parliamentary left will be totally finished for the next generation if they comply with this. I think that when it's really important, they have to stand out, which will put them in opposition to Starmer. And if they lose the whip, so be it. There's something more than the whip at stake now. It is the leadership of the left. It is the guidance of the left in these in this new time, in these new moments for us. Their job is to give leadership, to stand out and speak for the movement that is emerging.
Okay, I'm actually going to end it there because I think we've done more than our 10 minutes and that's enough of a job. So that's what we're thinking. And I'm sure you're thinking lots of things about this. Well, let us know. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll keep doing these shorts as long as we can while we're reorganizing and thinking about where Red Line is going. So it's goodbye from Graham. And goodbye from Mike, and fight on, comrades. Good night.